I'm still trying to figure out how you go from promoting self-acceptance, body positivity, fat activism, to creating content that trolls fat people. I'm trying to find the connection on how that happened.
Yes. And once again, we are talking about the most hated group by fat acceptance, us former fats. This girl a mess, y'all. Hi guys, welcome to my channel if you are new, and welcome back if you've been around here a while. I'm Kendra. This is Kendra Creates. This is my space where I share my life with you guys, and I also talk about the messiness that is the internet. So if that stuff sounds good to you, then make sure you are subscribed to my channel, and also go ahead and give this video a thumbs up while you are at it. So today we are going to be talking about this TikTok that has been sitting in the drafts for a while. I'm just trying to cycle through, because when I see something interesting, I like to pounce on it, and when I see something that's like I can talk about anytime, then here it is. I'm talking about it, okay? So this comes from a creator on TikTok, and I am going to kind of go through the TikTok like section by section. I'm not going to show the whole video because I want to kind of keep you guys engaged, but I also have like so many points I want to talk about. So let's not make any waste. Let's make haste. Let's get to it, and let us roll that first clip.
I do believe that if you want to be on Wegovy or Ozempic, you should be on it. It's your right. It's your body. I think a lot of the reason why you're seeing a lot of fat content creators come up and say, hey, I don't want to be fat anymore, or I hate being fat, and I'm going to do everything that I can to be away from that community, is because a lot of you guys didn't really understand what actual body positivity was and what true fat activism is. I think this comes from the very basic, superficial idea that you're supposed to love your body no matter how big you are, no matter how small you are, when in reality, we were all fighting for equality in body sizes, whether it was in the fashion industry, whether it was in doctor offices. We all wanted to have the same care. Fat people know that when you go into an office, no matter what the ailment, no matter what the condition you may be talking about, your weight is always the main reason that you are spoken to, or the main problem that needs to be fixed, no matter what you say.
So of course she had to bring Ozempic, Wegovy, the GOP ones into this conversation, and they had kind of really no place in it. But I'm assuming whatever like former fat creator she's talking about, they're probably on this drug. So she made it a priority to bring that up, and she also made it a priority to talk about, like, I don't care what you do with your body, it's your body. And she's going to say that several times throughout this TikTok, and you can see it. And it's like, that should go without saying. Like, you shouldn't really care what other people do with their body. But the thing about it is, fat acceptance really does care about what others do with their body. People that decide to lose weight are often ostracized from the fat acceptance community. They are often talked about poorly if they even say the words lose weight. And it's often kind of looked down upon. And people can, say, oh, that's not true, but it is. Several people that were formerly in fat acceptance have talked about these things. These things are facts. And then she talks about the reason why people are having such an issue is because they never really knew what actual body positivity was, or what true fat activism is. And the thing about it is, I think that she is lumping these two things into the same category. And I really feel like that they are separate things. Just because you are body positive does not mean that you are a fat activist or you believe in fat activism. And just because, well, I guess if you are a fat activist or you fat activism, you do believe in body positivity, or maybe you believe in body neutrality. So those two things are actually not the same. But I believe that she was trying to say that they were. Like, if you believe in body positivity, then you also have to be a fat activist. And so she was saying that they don't know the true meaning of what body positivity is or what true fat activism is. And basically, it's like fighting for equality for fat people in regards to healthcare, fashion, and laws. I'm just taking notes from what she said in her video. And I think that if it was just those things, I don't really think that anyone has any problem, honestly, with those things. Like fashion. What's wrong with bigger people having nice clothes to wear? I don't find any problems with that. What is wrong with bigger people having accessible healthcare? I think that the problem is not with like having accessible healthcare, you know, machines that can hold you, or you know, not having your weight be blamed for all your health problems, or having doctors that actually care about you and are not scared to touch you like the fat is gonna rub off. I don't think that that's the problem. I think their problem is that they want silly things. Like, they don't want the doctors to weigh them, or they don't want to talk about their weight, period. And I don't think that that is giving proper health care to anyone, whether you're large or small. Because think about it. If someone underweight went to the doctor and the doctor didn't say anything about it, then they would probably be doing that patient a disservice, because you can have underlying health conditions when you are underweight. And so the doctor may be like, you are underweight. The patient may be like, oh, I'm cute, I like my weight. But the doctor may be like, that's cause of concern. Let me run some blood tests on you. Something could be wrong with you. But the patient is like, oh, I just been losing weight. I think I'm cute, you know? So I don't think it's giving proper health care. And they want health care how they want health care. And then she talks about certain laws being in place. Now, you probably have heard of J-Bay, the fat traveler lady, and she wants all these crazy laws and rules in place and stuff and whatever. That's probably what they're talking about in regards to laws. But things such as like anti-discrimination, anti-bullying, I'm 100% on board with that. And I think most sane people are. Like, no one should be getting discriminated against because they are larger, or no one should, you know, have people being bullied in the workplace or at school because they are larger. Like, people want equality. And I'm just looking at her like, what is the problem? Seriously. Do those in fact activism not do these things, or do they go all the way to the extreme? And those people that are no longer in the fat acceptance body positivity community, should you say we still need you to be a fat activist? Like, I don't get it. Because people can change their minds at any time on whether they want to still be a fat activist or still be in body positivity. And I think that that is what they have a problem with. I think that they have a problem with people removing themselves from the community. And I'm actually going to talk about that in the next clip.
Being a content creator that has created content specifically for fat people, and then turn the flip because you feel like this community was so toxic, is one thing. Like, for you to think that the community is toxic is fine. Like, no community is perfect, obviously. And I think that now creating content that trolls fat people, whether you see it as that or not, is descarada. I don't even know how to say it, how to explain it, but it's just like, you have no shame.
And then in this next clip, she does talk about the toxic environment. She didn't talk about it for very long, but as we know, fat acceptance can be very toxic, not only to the thins, as they like to affectionately call like normal sized people, but also to other fat people. They literally talk about how, like, if you wear a size 14 or 16, which is considered like small fat or whatever, or maybe sometimes mid-size, but it's really and truly 14, 16 is a plus size. They talk about basically like, you don't know the struggle, you aren't super morbidly obese, you aren't a super fat, you're not a death fat, like you can't sit with us. Like, it's really kind of like they bully within their own community. They leave out certain groups like within their own community, and that is extremely toxic. And so it's like, when someone decides that they want to lose weight, if, say, for instance, they were, you know, a super fat and then they got down to being like a small fat. And then it's like, oh, you lost this weight. But they're like, I'm still plus size. Like, I'm still with y'all. And they're like, no, you're not. And then they want to leave the community. And I don't blame them, because it's saying like all the work that I did for you guys, all the spreading of the message that I did, like, and now you're trying to like ostracize me or kick me out because I did decide to lose weight, or now I'm a small fat. Like, I'm still fat. And that's totally toxic. And I don't blame anyone for leaving out of that environment. And I hear her, she keeps talking about like, you know, the people that decide to leave or whatever are trolling fat people. She keeps talking about, you know, trolling fat people or messing with fat people or whatever. Do I believe that some people that lose weight do this? They kind of, you know, distance themselves from fat people. They no longer want to hang around fat people. They talk about their fat friends or whatever. Of course, I'm sure. I am not denying that fact. But do I feel like people online with large platforms are now just messing with fat people and just like, I highly doubt it. It could be possible. Now, if I'm wrong, I will say that I'm wrong, and I would love to see who's doing that. But they never name names. They always are very vague. They kind of like drop little, you know, hints, but we don't know. So apparently, it's probably someone that's lost weight or losing weight, and they're using GLP-1 drugs. But she says something about people trolling fat people, which I don't think like people with large platforms are doing that at all. They're probably talking about their weight loss. They're probably talking about their experiences with being a fat person and how they were kind of grin and bear it, but really and truly they weren't really like satisfied with themselves. And they probably talk about like their new way of eating or their new exercise routine. And fat people feel really threatened by those things. They're like, oh, so I was a fat pig. I'm a fat pig because you were a fat pig when you ate all this stuff. Okay, okay. So I'm a lazy slob because you thought you were a lazy slob. But now that you exercise, you're not a lazy slob anymore. Like, you're too good now that you eat healthy and you exercise or whatever that you do. And I feel like they are just a lot of times projecting, because now the person has moved on from that community. They're bettering themselves and their lives, and they're being truly honest now about their experience and what they were actually going through. And they probably used the fat acceptance community as a means of coping, a coping mechanism. So if you can't, you know, fight your way out of obesity, then you might as well just accept it, and accept it with a smile.
No one cares the reasons of what you do with your body. When we were talking about activism, body neutrality, whether it be body positivity or fat activism, what we were all trying to do is create a sense of equality when it came to laws, when it came to the options that we've received in the fashion industry, and proper care for fat people. But for you, or for those people that you see that are now going against fat people, it was all about being superficially okay with yourself. And I'm not blaming them. I'm not blaming anyone. I think it's the lack of knowledge. And as a fat person, I do recommend that you do all the research that you can on what it is to be a fat person, aside from your own personal experience. The politics behind it can be very helpful. And a lot of the women that I see are white women. And to me, it's so obvious the privilege that you carry, that you can make it okay to flip a button one day and just be like, this is it. Now I hate being fat and I hate everyone that's fat. And you may not be saying that out loud, but your actions, your comments, and the like comments that you do are saying it for you.
And this last clip, oh my gosh, she wrapped it all up in a bow for me. I really felt her on something. I'm gonna get to that. But the first thing is, I thought this was so funny when she talked about People should really research what it's like to be a fat person besides their own personal experience. And I'm like, what research are we doing? I lived all my life as a fat person. Like, what research do I need to do? Cause I know about it. Like I know what it is. Like, what am I researching? I don't know. I wish she would have kind of went into detail about that, because I was like, what do I need to research? I don't need to research anything. I mean, if you want to talk about research on fat people, then let us give you the real, true, cold, hard facts about death and disease. That's what we need to be researching. Seriously. Let's talk about life expectancy. Let's talk about some sleep apnea, a little high blood pressure, a little diabetes. Let's talk about that stuff when you're talking about fat people. It's not like they're going to change. If they want to, they will. But, doing research on things like that is not going to make them change. They'll be ready to change when they're ready to change, if they're ever ready for that change. And then she talks about how these people were superficially okay with themselves. And I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. I feel that a lot of people in the community are superficially okay with themselves. They go around with a smile on their face. They're grinning and they're bearing it. And they're like, I might as well accept myself as I am. I've given up. I can't lose weight. 95% or whatever number that is, 98% of diets fail. I'm just going to be a failure. These are the talking points, and this is what they tell you, right? So you just accept it and you're okay with it. But okay with it for how long? And these people that have lost weight and distanced themselves from the community, bravo for them. Bravo for them. Because now they don't have to be superficially okay with themselves. They can really be okay with themselves. They can like how they look for real when they look in the mirror. They can resolve their health issues if they have or had health issues. And now they can find a community that's not so toxic and not necessarily is going to tell them everything that they want to hear and be an echo chamber and, honestly, a death cult. Yeah, get away from that. And the final point that she brings up is that she talks about a lot of these creators, people, whomever, are white women that are leaving, that are losing weight. And I mean, I'm not in the community or adjacent to the community, but I can believe that. I can believe that, because when I think about the fat activists I see online, a lot of them are white women. So I would assume that a lot of them leaving would be white women. And then she talks about the privilege that they have, in which I can agree with that as well. But I want to flip it on its head, and I want to talk about the privilege that white women do have in fat acceptance, the ones that are in it. And I want to talk about that as a Black woman. And the reason why I want to talk about that is because there are instances of us as Black people having disease within our community that is more likely for us to get it, such as high blood pressure. And you are telling me that it's okay for me to be fat. You're telling me that it's okay for me to love myself as I am and not try to change myself. Even though if I did change myself, I could be free of disease, or I could prevent disease. And I'm talking from firsthand experience. I don't have to research it, baby. Been there, done that. I had high blood pressure in my 20s. Okay? So you aren't going to tell me as a Black woman about all the privilege that white women have if they lose weight. What about all the privilege that they have within fat acceptance? And sisters, if you are fat and you're like, I'm going to stay this way because, the brothers like me like this or whatever, I get it. Been there, done that. I had them. I was pulling them. But What about your health? And like I say, like I always say, it's all cute and dandy and fun and fine when you're young. But when you start to get up there in age, you're going to realize that you're going to have to make some changes. Yes, modern medicine is great. We have meds that can control diabetes, that can control high blood pressure. You can put on a CPAP machine if you have sleep apnea. These are all band-aids to a wound. And honestly, to resolve that wound, to get some wound healing going on, a lot of that is related to your weight. You can fight with me. You can fight with your mama. Don't fight with me, okay? I never had diabetes, but I did have high blood pressure, and I did have sleep apnea, and both of those issues were resolved once I lost weight. And this is not any hate towards anybody fat. I am a former fat, and I do not hate fat people. I'm just trying to spread a message and spread a word that you don't have to remain that way if you don't want to. If you want to, do it. But I just want to tell you that it does not come so easy and without certain consequences. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure you continue to spread condescending word for love. I appreciate you for watching. I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.